First of all, very good afternoon, good morning to all. Wherever you are, I sincerely hope you are safe and sound, given the times that we are living in. So moving ahead, I think a very interesting topic, and first of all, thank you so much, DLF, for having me on this event. A privilege and a pleasure, and to share with you a little bit of the work that we've been doing and working with businesses on why becoming agile is not an option but a prerogative in today's world. My name is Abhik Chatterjee. I'm a managing director with Boston Consulting Group. I'm based out of India, and I work in digital as a topic. And I also lead the agile topic on the technology side for the firm. So let me get started. I know I have a little less than 20 minutes now. And what I would do is share with you a perspective for the first 15 minutes or so, and then keep the balance time for Q&A. So as we get started, I mean, the year gone by and the current year has been, I would say, landmark for all of us for very well-known reasons. If we for a moment look from a business point of view, and we conducted a survey with some of the top 1,200 S&P global companies, and we spoke to the CEOs, the boards, etc., on what has changed for you in the past year. Obviously, there is no point of putting COVID on this page, but if you broadly look at the priorities for them, the need to innovate harder than ever, the need to cut cost just because the demand slumped significantly, and the need to be agile, apart from focusing on the core, were some of the key topics that were top of mind for them. And what this meant is uh, we use the word agile indeed very loosely, like the word digital, wherein every business feels today that creating a mobile app in X months is a signature of being digital, and more importantly, a signature of being agile as well. But we are just believing and learning that true agility is something else. So as we move on, the first thing I would really love to do is perhaps dispel a few myths, right? And obviously, who better than Dilbert to do a job like this? But I've got, I would say, a few interesting, what I would say, annotations for the myths that we see. I think one is for many business people on this call, agile is purely just the ability to do more work with less people, right? I mean, that's the first thing. If you're a board member, CEO, business head, is what you feel. The other thing you feel is I can make any kind of change I want, a day, half an hour, or maybe a few weeks before something is supposed to go into the market. Thirdly, it is just a tech topic. Business can do what they are doing quite normally. And I'm talking about myths at large. This is not representative of, I would say, some of the more mature organizations who have evolved into agile as a topic much more than others. Lastly, things, I mean, it is really suited to what we would say small scale pilots as compared to scale, correct? And there are many, many more. I mean, if you were to talk to CTOs, CIOs, they will give you much more interesting anecdotes around what are the kind of perceptions that agile has in the market. Many believe it is a great word, but very difficult to apply. And it is true in its sense. It is not the easiest in many terms. Why is agile material for our business? And we've been now working, I mean, as a part of serving our clients and driving credible impact with them. There is a program that we drive within BCG called Agile at Scale, which is just intended at ensuring that how does transformation stick and how does transformation drive value. To me, these are five large reasons why agile is materially important. And it for me, it is very easy to also draw out in red where potentially the numbers would stand today. But if you look at it largely, there is an entire time to market, which because of being agile or driving agile methods of delivery, both on business side as well as on the tech side, can get you anywhere between 2 to 4 times in terms of speed. Product and features, more importantly, is how do you make them lovable? I mean, we are now coming to a situation wherein the word MVP is many cases being replaced by the word MLP, which is not only minimum viable product, but minimum lovable product, wherein the user and the audience really loves what you create versus just being the ability to create something as fast. Then there are elements around delivery efficiency and productivity. But last but not the least, I think a very, very important element around employee engagement and value proposition. Today, we are at a situation wherein the largest banks, the largest telcos, some of the largest traditional businesses, let alone the FANGs of the world, are struggling for the best talent available. They are not being able to run programs or scale businesses because people is becoming their bottleneck. It is becoming quite clear that a company which is agile and you can link it directly to total return to shareholder or to employee value proposition is scoring significantly high. This then leads me to who has really done it. And indeed, there are many examples. I've just highlighted for you a few of them, kind of sampled right from one of the larger biopharma clients across the world to obviously a number of financial services providers to auto manufacturers who have each in their own way, traditional to emerging players, defined their script for agile and delivered what we would say key impact, both top line, bottom line, a new set of value propositions, etc. I will share with you a couple of those examples as I speak through, but very quickly, I think two or three themes emerge. Number one, all of them are adopting this mindset of progress over perfection. Gone are the days when you would take an 18-month to really define the most beautiful blueprint that your client would have and then launch an army of individuals and partners to drive that ahead. Number two is the obsession with being is with the obsession with customer centricity. uh, the best companies are learning how to really keep customer at the front and in the center, and they do what they speak. It is just not what I would say they write on a page, but they are really making that count in terms of prioritizing what the customer wants and also delivering to it. Last but not the least is an ability to very ruthlessly prioritize companies' resources and focus. All of them are at what I would say in high level of paucity. The ability to take what I would say elements around how do you drive governance, how do you make those calls are very, very important. And I will share with you 5 points that businesses should look forward to in achieving agile at scale. Very quickly, moving on, this is a quick reflection of a leading automaker's journey. They are one of the largest in the world. They started with the pain point of multi-country delivery and how could they really speeden their R&D process and deployment of new cars and models across the world. They also took a very aggressive target. For them, it was not about I want to be agile by driving agile program, but they really anchored it in a solid business line saying, in the next 3 years, we want to achieve 20% uplift in EBIT. This is a significant tall order. And what it means is it makes people and top management responsible. I would use the word with a lot of caution, but almost as a single neck to choke for the CEO to say that, okay, my neck is on the line to deliver this large program. And I just don't have any other option but to do it barring the agile way. So it not only led to a slew of projects being implemented, a digital center being created in a what I would call as a build, operate, transfer fashion, wherein you work with partners because a lot of those capabilities are not available with you today. You work with card partners in a skin in the game model rather than the traditional model. You also lean down and simplify your backend. Today, a big hindrance to agile is technology and technology systems. The ability to make it simple plays a big, big role in that. Moving on, just another example from a slightly different industry. And this is what we are seeing from both banks and pharma players, though banks obviously are leading this charge in the form of agile. And I know I have a fellow panelist, Celia, who's going to talk about the journey at Standard Chartered to give it much more credence. But it is really about how leading companies are decoupling the fast from the slow. If you look at our world, we are always supposed to recognize that marketing and sales works in a very separate speed from the back end, right? That's why we use the term front end and back end. Front end is very fast, consumer focus, customer focus. You need drops very fast. The back end is quite slow or not as fast paced, if I say. But both have to exist. The way to do that is not to make the perhaps the back end as fast or the front end as slow, but is rather have a way of decoupling wherein there are outcomes that are really driven in world-class products, and then there are enablers in the form of platforms, agile methodology, as well as talent that you drive behind it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this come alive with 5 steps that we need to take, and let me directly dive in. And this is specifically to my audience here who may be driving agile programs, looking to improve agile programs, or maybe looking to start some of the agile programs. Number one, agile really starts at the top. You can have any number of small teams, work products being done, but unless and until the top guy and or the top person in the organization takes charge and drives that behavioral change, it becomes very difficult to push it forward. This is nuanced by, I would say, 3 or 4 key behaviors. Number one is you move from a reviewer to a doer mindset, wherein as a leader, you are as much rolling up your sleeves in problem solving as is anywhere else. You are really helping in conflict resolution. You are not waiting for your Thursday or Friday cadence or your fortnightly cadence when things will be presented to you. You are, on the other hand, as much approachable to debottleneck and solve as far as anything else. There is a third point around action bias over analysis paralysis that I've seen a lot. I mean, we are now today at a world wherein boards and management teams would just prepare reams of paper, thinking and deliberating weeks and months, versus if you look at the Amazons and the Googles, they would have in that time launched 3 businesses. And hence, you've obviously got a lot at stake and some bit to lose, but then the important part is what is the kind of upside you have. 2 other points that I would definitely want to harp upon. One is that entire decision making model, which is the 1 door 2 door mechanism that you have. 1 door is essentially decisions that you take once and you can't reverse. The 2 door ones are essentially where you can go back to, and obviously you can define your governance mechanisms specific to that. And lastly, the focus on skill development. In one of the large traditional, what I would say, industrial companies I am currently working with, there the focus of the chairman and the CEO has largely on how do I make my people agile. They are really not going after a $200 million prize of top line or bottom line, but their focus is on how do we get uplift in capability. Point number two is agile really means agile, which means your teams will change, the number of people required would change, the type of people required would also change. And hence, what this means is this is a slightly cryptic chart, but as it indicates, you will see there is a yellow layer for business, which shows how it kind of funnels up and down. There are then a set of more nuanced digital and technology roles which are needed. And obviously, they swing in and out versus staying through the course. But this also means that agile is just not about getting in and starting to code. It also needs significant amount of business thinking as well as planning to be in place. But, and importantly, any of the bubbles shrink, it means it stops you in the tracks, which means the focus on talent and your focus on access to talent is equally important, if not less. Moving on, point number 3, and I love this car analogy. It actually works very well for people from a technology background. One of our biggest inhibitors for agile classically comes to the head of the technology leaders, the CIOs or the CDOs. And one big reason is due to legacy and due to years of evolution, we have created monoliths that are very difficult to move. So the idea here, in parallel to obviously moving the org and other elements, is to really look to reimagine and simplify the entire technology landscape that you have, which is your ability to drive different components of the vehicle and move it forward. I'll quickly move on to the other 2 points, and then I'll take a pause for Q&A. There is an important aspect of us moving into a very partnership mindset today, wherein not uh, wherein an individual company finds it difficult to solve all by themselves, and hence this mindset of moving away from master slave with the vendor rather than going into a skin in the game with a partner is becoming the way to go ahead. And this partner is not only maybe a tech provider or a business provider, but in many cases true business partners who will look at revenue expansion with you. So knowing how to play the game with partners is truly a very, what I would say, evolved learning mechanism that companies need to go through. And lastly, as I already spoke about, I think talent is becoming our biggest inhibitor, right from talent internally to, for example, accessing data science, product development, UI, UX, and you name it. So there is an element of not only hiring, but importantly, upskilling and retooling critical skills within the organization. To end it all, we are realizing from BCG's work with a lot of clients and making them successful, and also learning in the same vein that only Bionic clients are the ones who are really making Agile at scale successful. And it means focusing on three things. There is a obsessive focus on outcomes, which is how do you drive customer relationships, seamless operations, or new products and services. And it is anchored into both the people and the data side, as our colleagues from DLF were mentioning. So I'll pause here to take questions and feedback. But these were, I mean, to recap, the journey on Agile definitely has a lot of value. Not very easy, but clearly 5 key learnings from our side and an overall Bionic framework that we believe has served businesses and governments well in this journey.